All right. We're gonna see if this works. Let's see. It says waiting, whatever. We're gonna have to share this link out. Well, I'm gonna have to share this link out, as long as I'm sure that it's working, of course. What's going on, everybody? Let's see here. It says waiting for DNR Auto. Scheduled for 9:58. I think we're Tommy Cook. I see you in the comments. Let's see here if this thing's gonna load. Okay, yep, we're good. We're good. Working. It works. All right, everything working good. Sweet. Let me copy this link. Let me see here. I just got to do this because on Facebook, nobody gets the notification when I'm live on YouTube, on Facebook, obviously. So let me do this now so I can say that I did it. Bam. And hopefully it works, because I know last time I tried to do this, it didn't work. But last time I tried to do this, we were on the Wi-Fi over at Bill's, and I don't know if I ever told you guys. I don't know if we ever got to that. I got frustrated. I ended up deleting it because we just had nothing but problems. But what it was, long story short, they actually ended up getting a new Wi-Fi router and stuff. There was a problem with the router. So here we go. What's up? Dickerson, Tennessee. Okay. What's up? How's it going? How's the family doing? Howdy from Atlanta. All right, we got some stuff to talk about, guys. We got some stuff to talk about. I'm not even gonna be bullshit with y'all. We definitely got some things to cover, and there's some stuff that I wanted to address and kind of go over. And I figured I'd probably end up making a video this week about some of it, because well, let's see. I mean, so to start, I think that a lot of folks that maybe watch the channel or have been watching the videos recently, maybe a lot of folks are new subscribers and haven't been watching the channel, you know, for a couple years or that kind of stuff. So there's the Nova. I mean, I guess it would appear as though the Nova is new, but in all reality, the Nova's been around for a while, and it's been around for a couple years, and I've been racing it before and everything. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to also talk about why sometimes I seem so grumpy and in the comments and everything, and I kind of wanted to address that, go over that a little bit, and also give you guys some of the information, and really just sit down and have a chat. Salisbury, okay. Happy Thanksgiving. I see a lot of happy Thanksgiving. Louisiana, Virginia, Oregon, Michigan, Iowa. What's the combo in the S10? Oh, the one behind me? The one behind me is actually an LS. It's an LS deal. Is the Fool's Gold car the same car in the Moonshiners? Yeah, actually, so we'll just kind of jump right into some of that stuff, and hopefully this video will like address a lot of things, and I probably will still make one, like actually sit down and make a video, because I want to clip like some of the other footage and all that kind of stuff that we've had in the past, and all that kind of stuff. So yes, the Fool's Gold is the same car that was in the Shiners movie, and that's actually how it came to be as Fool's Gold and everything else. And love to hear the story with how you ended up for the Nova. All right, so we'll jump right into it. Very long story short, at that time I had a Mustang that was like a 302 deal. It was nothing special at all. It was a pretty stock 5.0, you know, Mustang kind of deal, and Fox body. And I had started racing that a little bit, and it was like in a January time frame, I almost feel like. And I did this crazy thing where I was like, I want to make 5 videos, or I want to drop 5 videos 5 days straight. So I set out like 2 weeks, and I ended up, you know, working on the Mustang, fixing it up, driving a little bit, realized the trans was screwed. The guy gave me another trans when I bought the car because he knew the trans was screwed, and like that was part of the deal. And how that's, yeah, that's how I got the paint job. So we'll dive into this. So I had that. I ended up swapping the trans. I ended up racing a little bit. It was super slow. It was a 302 on motor, you know what I mean? But I was just enjoying it, and I figured that the Mustang would be an easy platform to work with. You know, it's easy to make them fast, it's easy to make them work, all that kind of stuff. And lo and behold, I had told a friend of mine that I would probably, you know, I go through a lot of cars. I buy and sell cars. I get bored with stuff, this, that, and the other. From those of you guys that know me years ago, know the junk body, which was my LS swapped Monte Carlo, which I love that car, and I almost got it back. Actually, they said I could have it back, but it's literally all it is right now is a shell on a frame. It doesn't have doors. It has nothing. So I was like, it's just not worth getting back. So a guy on Facebook had commented one day and was like, hey, I've got this Nova for sale. And I had told a friend previously, like, the only time I would switch this up, like I really need to stay focused, is if somebody had like a Nova, like a Chevy 2 Nova, or even like a 68 to 72 Nova. So this is, this guy posted up for sale this 74, and it's what I call an ugly Nova. It's got the big bumpers, you know, the rear windows aren't the same. There's some differences, but there's a lot of similarities, but there's differences. And he ended up, he's like, man, I'm like 15 minutes from your house. So I went over there, I looked at the car, and I bought it because I buy and sell cars, and I trade, and I do stuff just anyway. And I looked at it, and I was like, here's a situation where I'm not going to lose money on this. Like, I think I bought that car for $600 or $700 or something, maybe $800. I know it wasn't even four figures. So he ended up dropping it off to my house on the trailer that it was sitting on, because all the tires were flat. We couldn't get it off the trailer, all that kind of stuff. What year Monty? 88. It was an 88 Monte Carlo SS. But it was completely gutted. It was like an old bracket car, completely gutted. You know, Lexan everywhere except the windshield, blah, blah, blah. So I got this car, and it just kind of sat there, and I didn't have any plans to build it. I didn't have any plans to do anything with it. It had the factory 350 motor and 350 trans. The top end was off of it. It was kind of torn apart, and it just kind of sat in the driveway, and it was one of those things that I knew that I would make money on eventually. I would sell it or something and make a couple bucks, and, you know, put it into my other car and that kind of shit. And somewhere along the lines, this was after they had done the first movie, which I forget what the name of the first movie was. I feel like a bad friend in person, but I think it was like The American Ride or something. I forget what the name of it was, but they did the first movie, and they were talking about doing a second. And I was talking to Bill, and he was like, man, he's like, you know, that Nova would be really cool in the movie. He's like, you should get it together, make it run and drive. He's like, it doesn't have to be a race car, it just has to run and drive. And the 350 in it turned over, so although it didn't have a top half on it, I knew that it would probably work. And so we were like, all right, we're gonna put this car together for the movie. And that was the game plan. Put it together for the movie. Now, the question about the paint, everybody asks about the paint and everything. The paint, when I bought the car, and see, this is why I want to do like a video, an actual video on it, because I want to, like, you know, take the old videos and show you guys what it looked like when it got dropped off the trailer and all that kind of stuff. But it was completely primered over. They had primered over all of it, and, you know, it didn't look like anything special. So we weren't sure what we were going to do as far as making it look right. And honestly, I thought it was just going to get a coat of flat black paint on top, and that would be it. But I started sanding it down a little bit, because I was like, I wonder what's under this primer. And under the primer, I found the original gold color. So I was like, well, shit, this is pretty cool. I actually like that. So between myself and Mallory, Mallory did a shit ton of work on it, just with a regular orbital sander that you can buy from, you know, the hardware store, an electric orbital sander, and a bunch of sanding discs. Ended up sanding that entire thing down to where it was back to the original gold, you know, the original color of the car and the original everything underneath. And when we did that, we also found that at some points of the car, like if you notice behind the driver's side door, it's super rusty. They had sanded it down to bare metal. And I'm like, well, bare metal's not going to work. So I jumped on Google, I started researching some stuff, and I found that you can take hydrogen peroxide and salt and mix it together, and when you spray it on bare metal, it'll rust instantly. So I don't want to downplay this, because there was like, between myself and Mallory, and a lot Mallory, but there was easily 30 plus hours in sanding that car to get it to the point where we got most of the clear coat, or most of the primer off and all that kind of shit. So we do that, and then I researched this thing about the rust, and I'm like, all right, that would be really cool. So we spray it with hydrogen peroxide and salt, and that's why if you guys have ever seen the car in person and you get real close to it, you can see that it looks like the rust is like puddling down. It's because we were spraying with hydrogen peroxide salt mixture, and that like ran down, and that's why it looks like that. So we did that, and then we just driveway spray paint can clear coated over it, and that is how the car got its look. So then I started rummaging around for parts, finding different stuff here, there, everywhere, and I found, you know, an intake, I found some valve covers, I found Tom Binkley let me borrow his starter, and there's a bunch of like odds and ends that we needed to get it together and working, and I ended up getting it to fire up and run and drive. Now, it was by no means anything special, but it ran and drove, and it looked good for the movie. That was the big thing there, is that we knew that that car wasn't going to be anything like performance or anything like that. We did it specifically for that Shiners movie, so that way I could go out there, hang out with my friends, and we could film that and enjoy ourselves and have a good time. So that's how it started. Then somewhere along those lines, we really started to fall in love with the car. I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was a pretty cool car. It was you know, not a 68 to 72, which is what I would really have preferred, but it was a hatchback, which was cool and different, and I knew that I could change the front end and make it look 68 to 72, and I could do the same thing with the rear and all that. And you know, I obviously can't do anything about the rear quarters and the windows, but I could kind of doctor it up to make it look like a 68 to 72 if I really wanted. So I had a mystery amp. No, that was when I came back, or that was on like another one of the trips. But so I was like, you know, we should LS swap this thing. I think it'd be a good time, and we can really make the most of a situation by going out there filming, and I will bring everything with me to LS swap the car, and you know, a few bucks to run to Jegs, you know, however many times it takes. All right, I'll see you later, brother. Yeah, I'll lock it up, you're good. So we do that, we go film the movie. That takes, the part that I was involved in took about a week. Believe it or not, that Shiners movie probably took every bit of 3 to 4 weeks of filming, and even more, you know, a lot of time in editing. So we did that, and then Billy and I worked in the garage, and we LS swapped the thing. So as soon as we LS swapped it, that was at the point where, you know, like, it was off to the races. And I say off to the races, but like that, I started racing it. Like the minute it had an LS in it, I started racing it. We couldn't even get, I didn't even have the computer cable to hook up the box to the ignition system. So the rev limiter was set at like 5,500. Like we couldn't go above 5,500 in the thing. And it is what it is. So we did that, and then over the course of the next however long it took, that car just became my everything. Were you the driver? Yeah, absolutely. I was the driver. Like, it was my car. I was in the movie. Like, we did all that. The scene, me jumping and sliding across the hood, like, that was me. And that's really where the car first started. Now, I'm going to leave some of this stuff on the table for when I do the actual video, because I kind of want to do a video. Was the swap recorded? Yeah, like all of this stuff was recorded. This is all on my YouTube channel from like a year or two ago, or even more. And that's kind of why I wanted to sit down and talk about it, and why I want to sit down this week and make a video about it, because I think a lot of people that watch the channel now necessarily don't know this stuff and don't know the history of the car. Like, you know, that that race in Tennessee was the first race with the big block in it, and the first race since a whole lot of changes to the car. But it was not the first race for the car by any means. I've raced it on the street. I've raced it on the street across the country, in Ohio, in Michigan, in Delaware. I've raced it at no preps all across the country. Like, I have been in that car quite a bit. So going back to what happened with this last video and some of the stuff I wanted to address, and babe, if you're watching this, can you keep an eye on like the good questions, because there's a lot of questions up here that I just haven't gotten to see, you know what I mean, and I don't want to forget, because there are good questions in there that I want to get back to. So I've raced this thing across the country. It was a aluminum 5.3, the aluminum 5.3 sitting over there. It had a nitrous plate on it. We never sprayed it with more than 125-ish, maybe 150, because I had no progressive controller on it, and it it was straight off the rip. As soon as I let go of the button, the nitrous was on. I did spray it with 200 once on the street. It didn't like it. It reacted terribly, so I went back down. Now, had I known then what I know now, I could have made the 200 work, but I just didn't know. I didn't have as much experience and wasn't as knowledged in some of that tuning aspect and that kind of shit. So that brings me to what happened with the last video. And I kind of want to address this too, because there's been a lot of folks that have made a lot of comments, and there's been a lot of shit surrounding it. And what I mean by that is, there was a comment that I saw that was on another video that did kind of upset me, and it was mostly because I feel like that, number one, it was a miscommunication, and number two, that you guys only see what's in the videos, and what sometimes doesn't happen, and what folks don't realize is, you might see what's in an hour-long video. There may have been 60 hours of work that happened that, you never saw any of that. And so, there was a comment made that I don't take constructive criticism well. And I wanted to kind of address that, because number one, I wanted to apologize, because I have been sometimes a dick in the comments. I will tell you this, I got a really bad habit. I need to stay off my phone. Anybody who knows me, that knows me, has known me for a long time. The first hour of the day when I wake up, it doesn't matter what time I wake up. If I've been up till 5 a.m. and I wake up at 2 in the afternoon, or I get to bed at a decent time and I'm up at 9, and the first hour of the day, I'm just an asshole. I am not a morning person. I hate it. It is what it is. And I need to stay off the phone for that first hour of the day, because I'll get on the phone and I'll start ripping off some comments, and then later I feel bad about it. But what I wanted to address there is that, like, you guys don't see the other 60 hours, the other 100 hours, the other stuff that goes into it. Obviously, I see that a lot of people are trying to help and be helpful, and sometimes when I read the comments, it comes across to me as just like, oh, you're stupid, all you have to do is this, this, and this. And I want to scream, because I want to be like, you guys, what, you didn't think we thought of that? Like, I know it wasn't in the video, but you don't think that we haven't scaled the car multiple times, and we fixed the anti-roll bar, that wasn't in the video. There's so much stuff that didn't, and then when you read comments, it's hard to tell, because I might read 3, 4, 5 comments, you're a shitty driver, you're fucking terrible, you suck at this, and then I read another comment that maybe isn't meant to be negative, but I'm already in that mindset of just getting beaten down by these comments, that I read it, and then it makes me an asshole. So, here's what I will say about that. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to do a better job about that. There's a lot of things that that people just don't know, and there's a lot there's a lot about my personal life, and I'm very, very careful in the way that I do things. And the way that things happen and what ends up in videos, specifically number one about my children. Look, there's a lot of fucking weirdos in this world, so I try to be really careful about the children and all that kind of stuff. And you know, my personal life, you know, I don't share as much. I still try to keep some of my personal life personal, and obviously, you know, that's going to change over time a little bit, but also, you know, I still would like to do that, and hold on to that because I think it's important to me. You know, I'm a certified asshole without my coffee. Yeah, the real ones are going to stick around, absolutely. And you know, and that's the thing, is sometimes I've said it, I've told people a million times, don't ever read the comment section, and because it just won't do you any good. Like, you start reading some of that shit and some of the stuff that people say, and it's not, I don't care what kind of person you are, how much you let it roll off the shoulders. I let a lot roll off my shoulders, but even still, but that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted to address that. You know, I felt that maybe if you felt like you needed an apology, or like if you felt like I've said something fucked up to you and you were just trying to help out, then I do apologize. So how annoying does it get being asked so many questions about SRC programs when you're trying to discuss your own program? So it's a double-edged sword, and this is I guess we'll talk a little bit about this too, because I did see, yeah, how we met SRC, babe. I'm gonna get into that right now. Another thing I'm gonna address real quick, because I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, and I do get, believe it or not, I get quite a bit of hate in the comments about smoking. Here's the thing: I am an adult. I am 31 years old. If you guys didn't know that. I am a military veteran. I have done, you know, an Iraq war veteran. I have done all kinds of shit in my life. For the most part, I have completely given up alcohol. It's not really something I mess with anymore. Every once in a while, you know I need to give up smoking, but there's an important point I want to make here. I always tried to be open about certain things because I realize that there is a lot of folks that watch these videos and watch online and everything else, and I don't want to give you guys misconceptions. Here's my biggest thing: I don't ever want to be in a position where, you know, somebody who watches the videos gets to a race, we're in a certain city, town, whatever, and you guys are there, and you come up and you bring your kids up, and you see me smoking a cigarette in the pits, and you're like, well, shit, I didn't, like, that's a bad influence on my kid, and I didn't know that, and whatever. And, you know, I would rather just be upfront about stuff. You know, I've been open and upfront, I think, before about some of the other things that I partake in, specifically the herbature. It is what it is. But that's another one of those things. I want you guys to actually know who I am, because I would rather you say, hey, you know what, I don't like that you smoke cigarettes. I don't like that, you know, that you think that cannabis is good. I don't like those things. That's fine. You don't have to, and I don't fault you for that or whatever, but I don't want to give you the misconception that I'm something I'm not. And then on top of that, it sucks even more because then you have to constantly live that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in the back hiding smoking cigarettes because nobody knows I smoke cigarettes. Look, I want to quit. You know what I mean? But all right. So now back to how we met SRC, and I want to check 31%. I'm gonna have to plug this camera in, like that you don't do more burnouts. So, very long story short, a couple years ago, we got to take you some even more backstory. DNR Auto used to be a shop. It used to be an automotive repair shop, and after running that for a couple years, I decided I was tired of it and that I was going to shut that down. I was friends with Jay Malcolm, 2004, Justin Malcolm at the time. He convinced me that I would be good in videos and that it's something that I should do and that I can make money and I can provide for my family and all that kind of stuff. So I started doing it, and that was like in October of whatever year that was. And I live in Delaware in the Northeast. So, you know, November comes, December comes, ain't nobody racing. Tracks are closed, it's too cold, ain't shit going on, and I need to find content. So at the time, I was really interested. My buddy put me on. I actually went to a buddy's wedding, and all the way down to Alabama, we listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, and I was like, you know, yeah, that's pretty cool. Somebody should do that with racers and no prep and street racers and stuff. So I started a podcast. We used to do it live on Wednesday nights on Facebook. And even if you go back in the history of DNR YouTube videos, you'll see that I took those and put them on YouTube. And believe it or not, Billy was my first guest. And Billy was my first guest. And actually another guy who's in the comments right now, slower than you, Derek, was my first guest. And those were two people that I never had met before in my life, that I looked up to, and I asked them to be on the show, and now to this day, years later, we are still friends. Derek, I wish that I wish he lived closer and we could do more shit together, but you know, Derek and I have remained friends through the years. He is an awesome dude, has helped me tremendously in a lot of ways, usually just answering stupid questions about LS shit and tuning. And, you know, we even got him out to come out to one of the JJ races when I used to work for JJ the Boss, which is a whole other story that a lot of you guys probably don't know. And so also Billy. So those were my first two guests on the podcast. And that podcast is kind of what propelled me into this world of not just being a local guy and really you know, on a national front, meeting people and talking to people, and it gave me a lot of opportunities. And one of those opportunities was that I met Billy, and I'm getting paranoid about this charger, and now that my man's not working over here, I know I can go plug these in. So I don't know if I can continue to be live while this thing is charging, but we're gonna try. Oh shit. Drop that. See, I got too much shit in my hands. So, I met Billy through doing that podcast. And then we stayed in communication. You know, we talked and, you know, remained friends. And then for a while there, well, it really wasn't much longer after that. There was a race event at some track in PA, I think it was. And I remember Chuck Sightsinger was there, and maybe Ryan Martin or something. It was like on a Wednesday. So I rented a car, drove up there, and Billy went to that race. So that's when I actually met him in person.